Welcome to our chapter 1090 review for One Piece. We have a lot to talk about. We got Elbaf hype, we got Kizaru coming in, and there's just so much to talk about, so let's jump straight into it. So first of all, I'm here with my guy Krow. What are your thoughts on the chapter? How do you feel about it? What are your overall takeaways from the chapter?
It was a good chapter, we still haven't got into the brunt of the confrontation that we're looking forward to, which is Luffy and Kizaru or any other potential matchups in that factor. But the information we're getting and the progression we're getting throughout these chapters is still good. We get to see a lot of interactions between characters that we haven't seen. We saw Kizaru talking to Saturn, telling him, look, I'm not going to do that. And other stuff going on too that makes it still a good chapter. But I still can't wait for Kizaru to finally fight Luffy or whoever he's fighting.
Same here, man. Honestly, one of my first things that I want to jump into is it just feels so good to finally get a true marine excursion with the world government and everything, because ever since the post-time skip, ever since Marineford, we haven't really gotten that arc. It seems like we had Enos Lobby, we had Marineford, and those are two of the best arcs of One Piece. So whenever the Marines are really involved in a heavy way, it's always a good time, and you always know it's going to be a big moment. And so I'm just really excited to finally get back into that after the Yonko stuff in Wano. I just can't wait. Like, we see all these vice admirals and everything. The entire fleet is there, and just seeing that gets me so nostalgic to Marineford. So I'm really excited, man.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. Just seeing Usopp tell Luffy, or was it? Yeah, it was Usopp that said, "Don't underestimate the Marines." It just got me so excited because I was like, "Bruh, we've been seeing pirate crew versus pirate crew and all this other stuff, but now we finally get to see him go against the world government." And this is not to even mention the fact that there's literally a Gorosei member here. So like, this is just uncharted territory for us. I feel we haven't seen Luffy alone go up. Well, we've seen him go against CP9, but that's a whole different vibe than Kizaru or a Gorosei guy. And what was it? 1,000 soldiers? Probably even more than that. I'm just probably lowballing it, but yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of your guy Kizaru, there's a few things that I want to touch on, but first, what do you think about the Kizaru versus Sentomaru block? We saw it on the spoilers, and we were wondering, how is it going to look? Is it going to look bad for Kizaru? I mean, what are your thoughts, man? Because to me, it looks bad, but as we said before, Kizaru even says in the chapter, he says, he's his friend, right? They grew up together, and he respects him. He doesn't want to fight him. So, what do you think about that?
Bro, he's so hard to read. I'm not gonna lie, but I would say it does. I don't think it makes it look too bad. It seems like he's like, bro, prepare yourself. I'm finna hit you. You know what I'm saying? I still get the vibe from Kizaru. He's just that guy that's walking around at work trying to look busy. You feel me? So it don't look too bad to me. You know what I'm saying? Sentomaru is supposed to have this legendary defense. That was his some with his epithet was about his defense, right? If I'm not mistaken. But Kizaru tells you, look, I'm finna attack you, prepare yourself, and he is supposed to be a good defender. I would expect him to block that attack. It's not really that big of a deal to me. But Luffy's reaction really was like, yo, somebody's here. He's, this guy, he ain't playing, you feel me? I know a lot of people have been kind of taking that a little bit too far, saying that he's scared or he's terrified that Kizaru is there. I don't think that's the case. I just think he's like in shock, like, hold up, this is somebody strong here out of nowhere. What's going on?
Yeah, and I think it'd be funny too in the next chapter if we find out like it took all of his energy just to block that one simple attack, and like maybe he blocks it, but he's done. Like the way I see it is that Oda can set it up in a certain way, but you never know. Like next chapter, we might find out that he gets like one or two shotted. So you never know with Oda and the Admiral. So, but yeah, I mean Kizaru, I'm just excited that he's here. And like you said with Luffy, someone very strong that they have to deal with. He's really fast, so I don't think they're gonna be able to just get away so easily. It's gonna be a real fight, and I'm excited, man, because an Admiral versus Luffy, something that we haven't seen yet, really since Marineford. We saw he was just not even close to them, and even at Sabaody, he they have that history, so it's gonna be like kind of like a redemption arc for Luffy. I can't wait to see how it goes down. The next thing I want to touch on is we find out that they're going to Elbaf. Is it possible that Kizaru follows the Straw Hats to A-Kid if they escape? Is it? I mean, they got the entire fleet here, so is it possible that the entire fleet follows them to A-Kid? Then we get, a Godose. Maybe they go back to Marijua, kind of explain the entire situation and prepare for basically a full-on war. We bring in Fujitora and Green Bull into Elbaf, and we bring in a full-scale war because at this point, I'm thinking Kizaru is the guy that would follow them. He does have the strength for it, so I'm thinking that he could. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that we could see the Marines follow them to A-Kid? I mean to Elbaf. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Elbaf is considered the war land, right? So it would be nice if he went to war with the Marines at Elbaf. But I think that this is something that's solved here. This whole encounter with Kizaru, at least with him. I know they're trying to escape, but I just don't see it happening without one major battle. Do you think this arc will feel like it probably was a little flat? If, let's say, all the stuff we've been through, and then they just run to Elbaf without actually having a battle. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, obviously, the way he pulls it off will tell the whole tale, but I don't know. It'd be a little weird. I think that Kizaru goes down this arc, which makes the Marines so much more aggressive towards Luffy to follow him to Elbaf with Fuji, Green Bull, and Akainu. But I don't think Kizaru will be there to partake in that war at Elbaf.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I do think that, especially if Saturn is not going to fight, I don't see how. I guess if they somehow can get the Seraphim on their side, if they can pull out something, I could see them win. I could see them having a chance, not winning. But for right now, it seems like Luffy and his crew, there's vice admirals and stuff, but I don't see how they can really lose at this point. So I do see what you're saying. Like, it does seem like they will finish them off here and then make their way to Elbaf. But okay, so one line that I really did think was interesting, and it was just honestly a brutal line to hear, but it reminds you of what the Godose stand for and how important they are to the series. But we see Saturn say, humans are no different than insects. And the crazy thing is, he says it to a human. So, and like in the Vice Admiral too, and he just accepts the reality that this is a Godose celestial dragon, and there's not much he could do. So, I mean, he's taking orders from a Godose, but that was a crazy line, man. What do you think about that line?
Bro, that was cold-blooded. He's like, look, it's another anime villain that said something very similar to that we just like ants, you know what I'm saying? We go and come back. So just because some people die, it's fine, bro. Who cares? That's wild to me. And buddy, you can tell, he got that little question mark by his head. So you can tell he's like, are you serious? But he can't say nothing. But that scene right there, seeing as how he had to just accept what he said, adds so much more weight to Kizaru telling him a couple panels later, like, nah, it goes against my ideals to just ignore someone fighting, standing up for themselves, you know what I'm saying? And it made me respect him a lot more compared to last chapter with him calling himself a corporate slave, you feel me?
Nah, for sure, yeah. And it's crazy too, because when it go to say we haven't seen much of them, but we're finally starting to see their personalities too. And I wonder, like, maybe they're not all like exactly like Saturn. There could be some that are just straight up evil. But I always wondered, like, the long bearded one, I always thought could maybe have a redemption. But it's just interesting because we do see now, like, at least for Saturn, he is following the traditional mindset of the celestial dragons. So yeah, I mean, I like it because it's a good villain, and it just adds to what we already expected from them, and it's fun to finally see it. So that's what I like about it. And like you said, that was a cold-hearted line. It's actually good to have some villains that are just straight up evil, especially in One Piece.
I think a big thing with me is a lot of times you see writers or mangaka try to make their villains sympathetic and like give a good reason for the cause, or like they're like revolutionaries, so they're doing stuff but they're just extreme with it. But I'm actually a very big fan of people are just evil for the sake of being evil, you know what I'm saying? And I think One Piece needs a bit more of that sometimes. And so these guys fit the bill. I'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, I agree too, because how you said we have some of those characters in One Piece, I mean, even with Dofi, he had a very tragic backstory, and I mean, he was still evil at the end of the day. But it's like it's good to have a mix of it because it feels just like especially with a big world like One Piece, you can have different types of villains, you can have different types of reasons for the actions, and yeah, it's great to see a variety. So moving on, we see Robin, and I want to ask you this because I've seen some things. Is Katarina Devon Robin? Is Katarina Devon Bonnie? We see Robin with the bandages. So what do you think happened with Robin? Did she fight a Seraphim? Did she fight York? We don't really find out exactly what happened, but we do find out that she did get into some kind of fight. Is Robin Katarina Devon who fought Robin and now she's bandaged? I don't think that's true because we see Robin and it doesn't. She's not acting. She's acting like normal Robin. So I don't think it's that. What do you think happened with Robin?
I don't know, man. Last we saw, right before the little break off, she had was kind of trying to get to the bottom of where York was, and she took off towards them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I don't know, bro, because the Seraphim seem to all be occupied, and could it be Katarina Devon? It could be, but I don't know. Katarina could be anybody right now. I'm seeing a lot of Bunny for Katarina, which is fair, and I know we're gonna get into that, but I don't know, man. I feel like the Blackbeard Pirates definitely made it on shore, though. So there's someone is not who they say they are, right?
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean,
that with them being in such close proximity, I feel like she would, if it was Devon, if Robin has a lot of dialogue this chapter, you don't think that they would figure something out? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Especially, she's with the Straw Hats too. I feel like Luffy would be able to sense it. I don't think it's Devon because, like I said, we saw Robin and the way she acts, it's almost spot on to what we know from Robin. Mm-hmm. So I think we ruled that one out. But I'm just wondering who she fought because she looks pretty beat up. So yeah. Oda did skip a lot of the stuff that we saw with the Seraphim and what happened. But I mean, it could be possible that she fought York and was just caught off guard. But like we said, she was already looking into it and she was expecting something. So I don't know, man. There could be a lot of different possibilities. But speaking of Bonnie, and we're gonna jump into Bonnie now. Are we shipping Bonnie and Sanji, man? Because I honestly, I think they could be a perfect couple if Oda can just clarify one thing, that she's not actually a little girl. If she's not, then I'm all for it, bro. I think this might be the only shipping in One Piece that makes complete sense. Bonnie, she does act like a kid, but I feel like if Oda can clarify that, I'm fine with it.
I mean, you got the glutton and you got the chef. It seems like a perfect match, right? But I don't think she's a kid personally. Like I said, that flashback with Kuma when he was still, I would even say when he was still human, that looked like back when he was still the king of Sorbet. And that looked to be a while ago, because the Kuma that we see in the Dragon O'Hara flashback he has the closer version of the design that we saw in the current story. So that had to be before then. So, and she was a little girl then. So I'm thinking that she's not a little girl. However, it's still a little strange to ship him with someone that often turns into a little girl, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you don't see many women complimenting Sanji like that. So, it definitely was like, yo, what's going on here?
Yeah, I started to notice in this chapter, like, Bonnie does act like a kid because she was crying all night, we found out, and she lied when Luffy said that she was crying, he called her out. It seems like she got defensive and like embarrassed and stuff. So to me, she does act like a kid, and that could just be like a trait from her devil fruit, like how zones become more aggressive and physical, like Lucci. So maybe it is just part of her devil fruit, making her personality. Maybe she has tendencies to be acting like a kid at times, or maybe acting older at times. So I don't know, but it did seem like she was acting weird too, and that's, I think, where people are saying that it's Devon. I still don't think it is. I think it's just part of her devil fruit power or something, or that's just her personality. What are your thoughts on Bonnie and the way she was acting when Luffy called her out?
That's what's strange to me, right? Like I said, he was a lot around Robin a lot, so I feel like he would have noticed something. But it seems like as soon as we see Bonnie, the first thing we hear is, yo, you acting different. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I feel like if anyone would be would be Devon, it would be her, because she was alone. And, we don't know what happened. Maybe she got caught slipping as soon as she got through with her father's memory. I think she probably could have got caught and replaced. But then again, like, I don't know. This is the real mystery of the arc. That York stuff was okay, but Devon, seems to be coming up to be the bigger mystery, because the Blackbeard pirates already had, that fella with the swamp powers that could have possibly been a spy for them. But now you got one that's literally about to infiltrate the crew and the people around them. So this is gonna be pretty crazy.
Yeah, and the Blackbeard pirates, they did run into Bonnie. They ran into Bonnie in the beginning of the post time skip. So they have some kind of they've dealt with her before. So like, if Devon did remember her personality, she could be trying to mimic it. So there is that history with them. Yeah, it is weird, especially because Luffy, we know Luffy to be someone that can sense these things. Like, he has a high emotional intelligence. He has a high observation haki. Like, he's just a guy where he can call people out on their BS, and he knows when there's something wrong. So yeah, especially because it's Luffy, I feel like there is something to it. But yeah, man. Moving on. I want to ask you, why was Kaku really fighting two Seraphim at once? Like, why was that going on? And bro, is Kaku just a bum, bro? Do we have to just accept the fact that Kaku is a bum?
Okay, so let's see. It was Lucci and Luffy versus Esber, right?
Yeah.
And Zoro and Kaku allegedly versus S-Hawk before he took off. So if S-Hawk took off, why is this man on a stretcher? Like, what happened to him, bro? He is down bad, bro. Oh, no.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they all split up, went looking for them. I have no idea. But, yeah, man, Kaku. Listen, I love Kaku. I always did. That scene when he jumps off the building in Water 7, he's, like, flying in the air. I always loved that scene, and I mean, even with the giraffe stuff, I mean, it was kind of goofy and ridiculous for a Zoro fight, and it's like, all right, man, like, why do you have to give him that fruit? But I was hoping, when we saw Kaku in Egghead, I was kind of hoping he'd have a redemption arc as well. But it's just like, he hasn't really done much this entire arc. I mean, he had that little scuffle with Zoro, and he gets destroyed by Stussy, and it's like, even against the Seraphim, he got off-screen low diff, bro. It's like, come on, bro.
Right. I was expecting redemption for a couple people, but like Lucci just stuck in his ways, bro. It really pissed me off to see that. I was hoping, I didn't expect him to become a Straw Hat ally, but I thought he was just gonna go and do his own thing, bro. But so much for that, huh?
Yeah, I mean, because with Lucci, it's interesting. I mean, we saw his character he has a true belief for the Celestial Dragons. During the Reverie, we saw, like, he really believes in this stuff, man. So I think it's something where I think he grew up this way. He grew up indoctrinated by it, so it's gonna be tougher for him to just make the full switch. He still could, maybe by the end of the arc, but I think it's just a deeper thing where it's not gonna be so easy to switch up, especially because we saw when he was teaming up with Luffy, he said, like, this is just a temporary thing. It's not like we're gonna do it to be able to get through this. But we're not friends. Like, it's just for a temporary thing. But yeah, Lucci, I do kind of like that because it does seem more realistic at the end of the day. Lucci, he's been a world government agent for a long time, and he's a prodigy too. Like, he's sacrificed his entire life to train with them, and so yeah, I mean, you would think because Spandam, I mean, that guy backstabbed him. The Godosei are willing to just let Lucci die, and he's still feeding them information. So I mean, we'll see if he has a switch, a change of heart by the end of the arc. But for now, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen, because I mean, he is one of the strongest fighters at Egghead. So I mean, we'll see what happens. So one thing I want to point out is Stussy. We see Stussy and Lucci. And I'm wondering, did Stussy help Morgans to listen into the conversation? Because we know that they've helped each other before. Morgans just so happens to find out about this call at the exact time. So do you think it's possible, or do you think Morgan just has other connections? Um, like what is going on with that situation? Because I do remember we had, I think it was Whole Cake Island, or maybe it's the Reverie, but we saw Stussy and Morgan's had some kind of ties in the underground.
Mhm.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Stussy, because this is a government island, so I don't know how he would be able to wiretap it. You know what I'm saying? That seems like a little bit advanced, But it probably is Stussy. That it's not necessarily nothing bad. So it's not like she's going against Vegapunk, but maybe she's just also doing something that's in her self-interest as well, which isn't that big of a deal, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, and it's true too, because we have a Buster Call situation where it's like, I feel like maybe Stussy, she does have access to both sides. Like, she was with CP0. She does have access to Vegapunk, and I'm not saying she's playing both sides, but I do think that she's using that to her advantage, because she has a lot of information from pretty much everywhere, from Morgan's side, the underground. So whatever her plan is, I mean, maybe she just wants to get Morgan's to at least understand the situation. So in case anything happens, then at least people will know what happened. Like, if the world government was to just wipe out A-Kid and take out the Straw Hats, then they would make their own side of history. But maybe at least Morgan's can tell it in his own way.
I wanted to ask, bro, how do you feel about the Vegapunk being dead?
Oh yeah, so we find out 2 of the Vegapunk are dead. Edison survived. Man, it's kind of, I do think that I think it's possible that they can come back. I don't think it'll be anytime soon, but I don't think they can just die like that, because at the end of the day, I think you have to kill them all. I think you would have to take out the main Vegapunk first, and then maybe go after the other one separately. But I think there's a chance that they can come back.
Yeah,
it seems though, it does seem like they one of the Vegapunks was crying, so it does seem like maybe they could be gone. But I mean, what do you think about it?
I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard to be too invested in it, because you just know that they're just clones of certain parts of his psyche or whatever. But I'm not sure if it's even that big of a deal either, because him, like, let's say Vegapunk putting his let's use greed for example into York. Did that separate all of his greed from his body, or did he just make that aspect of himself into another person, but also kept that same emotion or feeling? That's the thing. It depends. So if he's like losing full aspects of his personality or his being, then it's like, okay, that is kind of a big deal. But I think we just need a little bit of clarification on that.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it was like you said, it's hard to be invested in these characters, because they're, at the end of the day, they're just Vegapunk clones. I mean, the most I could say is maybe Lilith I could have investment for in the future, but for now, I mean, they do seem like just, I don't know, it's like they're not really like full-on characters, if you know what I mean. Frankie, I was reading the chapter and I just realized, like, because ever since the post-time skip, we get into this thing of Frankie's design. Bro, Frankie, this guy just looks like he's on steroids, man. Like, bro, his shoulders, like his arms look like Legos in one of the panels. But even just his shoulders and stuff, bro, it's like, this dude, I always forget how his design looks. And this is the Frankie arc, so I'm hoping we get to see something with Frankie. But I mean,
good luck with that, brother. No, I do think Frankie is gonna have a big deal, be a big moment in his arc though, because I liked Vegapunk's reaction to him telling them about the Kude burst, or the Sunny in general, being fueled by cola. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It seemed like he was like shocked, like, cola? So I'm thinking that there's gonna be something where, like, it's something that Vegapunk maybe can't figure out, and Frank is like, nah, look, we can use this, and yada yada yada. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to him getting a moment. I don't think every Straw Hat is gonna have an arc, but a moment in these arcs would be great. We got some future stuff. I'm gonna give Usopp Elbap though, but I never thought this was gonna be Frankie's arc though.
Yeah, listen, man, I love Frankie. He's one of my favorite characters in One Piece. but he really has not gotten the time that he deserves in the post time skip. He has some funny moments in Punk Hazard and stuff, but it's like I really just expected it. I don't want it to be his arc, but I do want him to get some big moments, just considering he's a scientist. He studied with Vegapunk stuff in the post time skip time. I just feel like it's a perfect opportunity to give him something, bro. It doesn't have to be something massive, but just something. And hopefully, I'm hoping that he still does. But it's been a lot of chapters and he hasn't really done much, so we'll see.
I do think, yeah, he's gonna get a moment for sure. I hope so, because you want all the Straw Hats to have moments at least. So that would be nice, especially for Frankie, who has seemed to take the back seat since it's post time skip for the most part, which is fair because he is an older character, so you don't expect too much development from him. He has a straightforward goal. He's older, and he is who he is. You know what I'm saying? So he don't need like a full like Whole Cake Island Sanji type arc. But I think the original 5 Straw Hats will all have their before they got into the Grand Line. All of them would get their own arc, but I didn't expect that from Frankie, to be honest. But we're looking forward to Big Frank, dog. Shout out to JJ.
Yeah, shout out to JJ on OPU. And speaking of OPU, there was one character that I saw in here, and hey man, I was right, because this Vice Admiral is definitely a woman, bro. Like, she's the one with the bowl cut. They refer to her as ma'am, right? And then we see she has like a skirt on or something. So I'm like, bro, I think I was right. Like, she looks like a woman to me.
Yeah, when I read it, I was like, okay, yeah, we got that confirmed. These guys all seem to be very strange. You know what I'm saying? The guy with the long, 5 chins got a Marine tattoo on his neck, which is hilarious. And that's why I think they Straw Hats, bro. Oda put a lot of work into their designs. They look like very unique characters. So not Straw Hats, Straw Hat matchups. I think that's who they gonna fight, bro. Because these guys look like they're just gonna be fodder wise, so just wasted. I think they're gonna actually fight them. You know what I'm saying? Because they seem to be interesting. All got personalities for the most part and cool designs as well. But underwater Jinbei can handle the giant, man. Who knows?
Bro, underwater, this is his time to shine, bro. Like, think about the ocean and stuff. Like, we're escaping to Elbaf. There's so much opportunity for Jinbei to really shine. And like, I know I've been pushing the underwater Jinbei agenda, but this is his chance, bro. Like, there's so much opportunity for this right now.
I got you, man. I do have one question, right? And this is, it was in the chapter.
Oh no.
No, it's not bad. I think it's weird that I feel like the Marines focus on teaching their guys the Rokushiki techniques instead of just teaching them haki. That's so strange to me, bro.
Okay, do you think it is hot? Because the way I see it is it possible that haki is implied? Like, is there a thing where at a certain level you just learn haki too? Because I think even in Kobe we find out someone told him, like, bro, haki is anyone that's even a Vice Admiral level, they have haki for sure. Like, at a certain extent, they have it. So do you think maybe it's like, at least for Lucci and certain characters, maybe they get special treatment, maybe they learn haki? Because when it's someone like Khalifa, she was so weak, it's like there's not even a point of teaching her haki. Like, she was so much weaker than Nami, even at that point. So, I mean, maybe it's just certain characters they focus on more. But yeah, it is weird that, I mean, you would expect it because haki is so much better than Rokushiki. It's not even close.
Right. And I mean, maybe it's like, maybe like the special students, like the Kuzans of the world, you get to learn haki, you know what I'm saying? But that's just weird. If you want to make the ultimate fighting force, I wouldn't waste my time on no Rokushiki, because I feel like it's not even as valuable as like just the basics of haki. Like, we saw the difference in somebody that just knows basic haki versus these guys, CP9, who are supposed to be Rokushiki masters. So that's just very strange to me. But, it's a lot of instances of the world government doing stupid stuff. So I'm not surprised at all.
It's also weird when you consider, like, Kobe, he learned haki pretty quickly. He was pretty young too. So Lucci was already older when he was in Enies Lobby. Like, he should have been mastered haki by then.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
Give me your rating for the chapter.
I'll give it like an 8, solid 8. Yeah, it was good. We're just waiting for a lot of the big stuff, like the fighting and stuff, and Kizaru to really show out. So I think it was good, but I'm excited for the next chapter.
Yeah, I think I agree with you and go 8.5 maybe. I mean, I wouldn't say 0.5. 8, it's an 8 out of 10. That works perfect for me. It's like you said, we're still in that setup phase. But we get one more setup chapter, I might be mad. Now let's go, so let's go ahead and get to it. You feel?
Make sure that you subscribe, as we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on here as fast as possible. Thanks for all the support, and we'll catch you next week.
Peace out.